Welcome to LetsChat GP, your guide to the art of Alberta. We are diving deep into the life, culture, and everything in between that makes Grande Prairie special. Join us as we explore our city, one story at a time. Hello guys, welcome to the first episode of LetsChat GP, the podcast where we share everything Grande Prairie related. If you guys are thinking of moving to a Northwestern community, you can know that Grande Prairie does exist and what are some of the things that you can expect. Now, Grande Prairie is located in Northwestern Alberta, and it has a population of roughly 70,000 people. In this podcast, we'll share everything you need to know. I will be talking to some interesting persons who have lived in the community, some for a while, and some are pretty new. Now, this podcast is brought to you in support with TELUS STORYHIVE, and it's filmed in Grande Prairie. Now, today's guest is a phenomenal young lady, moved to Grande Prairie a couple of years ago with her family, back in 2019, and she has lived in Grande Prairie ever since. Now we're going to be talking to Natasha to find out what is her experience having moved to Grande Prairie, what keeps her in Grande Prairie, and what does she think about Grande Prairie. Natasha, welcome to LetsChat GP. I want to thank you for taking a time out of your busy schedule to be a part of this podcast today. But before we get into the conversation a little bit, how are you doing today and a little bit about who you are?
Well, I'm fine, and thank you for having me on this podcast. Natasha. Been here in Grande Prairie for 5 years now with my family. We migrated from Jamaica, come to this lovely city. At first, it wasn't easy because it was an adjustment coming from a hot country to Western Canada. So yes, I'm here with my family, enjoying this beautiful
So the question then would be, what made you choose Grande Prairie out of all the places you could have chosen out of Canada or even out of Alberta? What made you choose Grande Prairie as your destination?
Well, I have family here, so it was just an easy choice of choosing Grande Prairie because it was easy transition. I was looking at the aspect of have someone that can help me to transition into the society. So that's the only reason I chose Grande Prairie.
And take me back to 2019. You just moved to Grande Prairie. What was your first impression of Grande Prairie?
My first impression, cold. I landed in September of 2019, and when I came off the plane, it was cold, even though it was fall. Looking back now, it was like t-shirt weather, but now it was cold at first, and then I realized that it's not a typical, we'd call it foreign country or typical city where you don't have the skyscrapers or anything like that. It was just every building was at the same level.
Yeah.
It's just one tall or two tall buildings in the city. And it was like a quiet
city. So you mentioned that you had to get adjusted to the climate because coming from a warm country to a cold country would have been an adjustment. How did you navigate that first winter experience?
First winter? Oh my gosh. At first, we didn't have adequate clothing because we wasn't sure of the extreme weather or it was going to get cold. So we bought clothes from this thrift store at first, which wasn't adequate enough. And so we weren't prepared at all. Over the years, we got better because we know how when it can go up to -40. So we bought clothes that will keep us warm, basically. So yeah, it took a while for us to adjust.
So would you consider yourself to be a winter expert now, or
I think
still
I am.
adjusting?
I think I am an expert. I know what to wear for which season, not only winter, falls as well. Summer, when we have a heat wave, it's like, yeah, it takes a time to really realize what to wear because it's totally different. So, but yeah, I'm an expert of all season.
So let's talk a little bit about transitioning, right? Mm-hmm. So when you just came, you mentioned that the weather was one of those things that you had to get conditioned to or transition into.
Yeah.
Now you're coming to a brand new country. First question, have you traveled before? Is this your first time outside of Jamaica?
Yes, this was my first time going on a plane and first time, leaving Jamaica.
So you'd have had a lot of culture shocks coming here.
Yes.
So apart from the weather, what are some of the other culture shocks that greeted you when you just landed in Grande Prairie?
Culture shock. Food. Start with the food. It's a totally different food than what I'm used to back home. It doesn't taste the same for me. what typical we have traditions in Jamaica compared to Canada overall, where we have on a Sunday we'll eat a particular dinner, or on a Wednesday. Here you eat everything anytime. It's just yes, and it's mostly fast food. So it's not like a home cooked meal where everybody home cook is like restaurants and fast food and all of that. So that was a bit different. Yes, into a society where it's predominantly Caucasian, coming from a society where it's just mostly blacks. So that was a shocker. It was like, whoa, walking into a room and you're the only black person. Yes, that was new
From
to
a
me.
majority to a minority.
Yeah, exactly. So that was it. What a shocker. Yes, that when you, even for jobs, you're looking that when you look around, you're the only black person in the job.
So let me challenge you a little bit on that then. Like you mentioned, coming from a majority to a minority, how did you navigate that feeling of being like now you're into a society where you're now a minority? How did you navigate that feeling and to make you successful? Which, if I might say, I think you're fairly successful here in Grande Prairie. You're fairly established now compared to when you just came. So how did you navigate that feeling?
At first, I was a bit timid because you don't know how to react or how to basically embrace everybody, because it's a different society and where I'm from. You have to basically read the room and how persons basically interact with others. I started off that way. And then now I realized that just be yourself. Just be your own self. Just be that bold, confident person, and you will just navigate anywhere you are. No matter if you're the minority or the minority or the major set of persons in the room. Just be yourself, no matter what.
And that's good advice. But let's take it back to Grande Prairie as a community, right? Because that's what we want to talk about.
Yeah.
We want to find out what makes Grande Prairie home for you. Now, 5 years ago you landed, you had to navigate all of those nuances, transition into a new country, transition into a new community, and you're still here 5 years after. What keeps you in Grande Prairie, and why should somebody move to Grande Prairie?
Let's just backtrack. First year we landed here in Grande Prairie, my husband started school, and first week or two we decided that after graduation we're going to leave Grande Prairie because this wasn't not for us. It was too laid back. It's too quiet. So we decided that after graduation, exit. We're going out. But after graduation, we started thinking about life and what we wanted out of life. We wanted the busy streets where traffic can take you 40 minutes to go XYZ, or the stuff like that. We thought about overall raising our kids. Where do we want how that to look? And then we assess it and realize that Grande Prairie is a gem. Why are we going to leave out a gem out of an area that is convenient? 15 minutes to go everywhere. It's peaceful. It's so quiet. It's so peaceful. It is so peaceful. You don't hear noise. It's peaceful. You have a lot of walking trails. You can go hiking. You can do a lot of stuff, right? Why we're still here? Because it's a community, and everybody gets involved, from the smallest of man, in a sense, to the person that is on top, like in businesses. Everybody volunteers. No position or no volunteer position is too small for anybody. Everybody chip in and volunteer. And I love this about Grande Prairie.
So as a resident of Grande Prairie, I do agree with some of what you're saying, a lot of what you're saying actually, but I want to give you a little pushback. There's no perfect society. There's no perfect society. What are some of the challenges of living in Grande Prairie that you have experienced personally?
Challenges. When I just got here, as I said, it was a bit hard to navigate coming from a society where you're coming into a society where you're a minority, right? So you get pushed back because of the color of your skin. So you have ignorant persons out there that look at you, and right out there they start to a little discriminate. So it's like, I assess it now. You have 95% of persons in Grande Prairie who are really extremely nice, but you have a 5% that is not that welcoming. And that's the fact.
Yes.
And they're there. So we're not going to hide it. There's a fact that like 5% out of the society is like that.
And does that affect you as an individual?
No, because you just brush them off. You're like, oh, so that's that's their problem. And I think that's what persons need to take into factor, that they don't matter. You have a set of, say, 95% that is welcoming and is embracing you and want to see you succeed. So don't think about them.
Okay, so the name of the podcast is Let's Chat GP. So we are talking about GP, but let's dive a little deeper into Grande Prairie. Now you're from Jamaica, and what I know about Jamaica is a vibrant society, vibrant personalities, lots of things to do, lots of places to go, good food, good energy. Come into Grande Prairie where you have some of those things, but how do you compare Grande Prairie to Jamaica?
I'm sorry, there's no comparison there. You can't compare both of them. Okay, so Jamaica, as
Is
you
that
said,
comparing rice and flour?
oh my God, it's totally different. It's, as you said, Jamaica is vibrant and, oh my God, and people are welcoming overall. They're all welcoming, and you can meet a Jamaican and you talk to them today, and the next 2 years down the line, if you see them again, you're friends.
Okay.
But here it's a bit different, where meet somebody today and then tomorrow you don't even know each other. But in terms of atmosphere, as I said, Grande Prairie is just peaceful and quiet.
Quiet.
That's it.
Okay, so how would you describe social life in Grande Prairie? What do you do for fun?
Stay home. I'm sorry, for me, it's just hanging out with my family and just going to events like mixers, going for a walk, going to the movies. It's just basic stuff, nothing extreme.
So, on a social aspect, like from a social life perspective, what would you like to see in Grande Prairie that makes it more homey for you coming from Jamaica in terms of the comparison that you just made? What would make Grande Prairie more homey for you?
I have reached to the point where I realize that it's not going to be homey. So I think I don't want to change anything. I'm just going to leave it as how it is. If I want to get that homey feeling, I go somewhere else and come back. I just leave it at that.
Leave it at that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So let's dive a little bit into probably you can speak a bit about your own experience finding a job in Grande Prairie. Would you say that there is a lot of opportunities in Grande Prairie for employment?
If you search Indeed right now, you will see a lot of opportunities. And that is what I think opportunities and Grande Prairie go hand in hand. That is what it stand for. You can find anything that you want here. There's a lot of opportunities. For jobs, for me, I got my first job the first week that I got here. And I know of other persons as well, family and friends, who have done the same. So opportunity is here.
What about a person who is thinking of moving either from a different province or from a totally different country and they're currently looking at places to go? What would you advise them, why would you advise them to come to Grande Prairie in opposition to moving to other parts of Canada, like bigger cities, the Edmonton, the Calgarys, the Torontos, the Vancouvers, the popular places? Why would you encourage somebody to move to Grande Prairie rather than one of those places?
Go back. Opportunity. That's the first one. Everything is less than 15 minutes away. Convenience of driving from your home to work or anywhere is 15 minutes or less. If you want a place to raise your kids, I think it's the perfect place. Crime isn't an issue. It's there, I think, but I'm not seeing it. I, for one, is not seeing it. So I think it's a safe place for you to raise your kids and a great place to if you're even thinking of coming here or thinking about places to go, you can visit at first and see if it's a great fit for you. What else I could say? Yeah, that's it.
Okay, now let's mix it up a little bit. What's the most interesting experience you've had since living in Grande Prairie?
Most interesting experience. I have never thought much.
It's okay. I'll give you a minute to think about it.
What's the most I would say it's wild animals that I've seen. I'm like,
You don't have wild animals in Jamaica?
not like a cougar or one of those things, or bear or squirrel that I always see on television. It's like, ooh, I actually see a squirrel. So it's like so cool, right? The animals, like, oh, you might hear like there's a bear down the road, or you see a deer crossing the road, or stuff like that. I love that.
So what was your... Yeah, that's good. Thank you for sharing that. But what was your first snow experience? Because you don't have snow in Jamaica.
No, we don't.
So you'd have seen snow for the first time after being here. What was your first snow experience?
I was happy to see snow. I was elated. I was like, yes, I finally get to see it and I feel it. I'm like, yes. But after like a week or two of snow, I'm like, no.
So is Grande Prairie winter really as bad as people say it is?
No, I don't think it is. I think if you are well dressed for winter, you'll be okay. It's easy to get warm when you have enough clothes, your socks, the shoes, the gloves, the jacket, and you're in and out of buildings. It's not like you're going to work outside. I'm sorry for the guys that works outside, but they still have clothing that can help them to keep them warm. But yeah, you are in and out. You're in a vehicle, you're into a building. It's not that bad.
Natasha, this is such a fulfilling conversation because I never passed an opportunity to talk about Grande Prairie, and Let's Chat GP, right? Now, you have a family.
Yes, I do.
You have kids. How many kids do you have?
Do I have two?
2 children. What does your family think about Grande Prairie? Do they share the same sentiments?
My kids are young, so I don't think they know what's happening as yet. But overall, the family, yes, we love GP and we aren't planning on moving anytime soon.
Aren't planning on moving anytime soon?
Yes.
Now, in terms of a future plan, right? Where do you see Grande Prairie going in the future as far as you want to look? Where do you think Grande Prairie will be?
Wow. Hopefully it reached to a point as looking like Edmonton, one of those big cities soon. But I think Grande Prairie want to keep a small town vibe, that community vibe, but still have a big town feel, that thing. But yeah, and I hope in the future, near future, there will be a lot of development in terms of buildings, more restaurants, more options for persons of different cultures. Also, I think everybody here have a problem with that train. want a overhead road or something. That's what I think. Yes, small stuff like that.
So is there, like you mentioned in your response just now about the diversity in cultures, is there a lot of different cultures in Grande Prairie?
There's a lot. There's a lot of subgroups here.
So would you say persons would be able to find their community? Like, let's start with Jamaica. Is there like a Jamaican community in Grande Prairie?
There is a Jamaican community, and I've also recently seen that there's a Korean community here as well, which is awesome, which I didn't know. And there's a Pakistan, there's Indians, there's a Nepal, it's just persons from all over the world are here in Grande Prairie.
Melting pot.
Yes.
I'm happy that you bring that up because a lot of persons don't understand that Grande Prairie is pretty diverse.
It is.
Fantastic. Now, let's ask you a very Canadian question.
What's that?
What do you think about Putin?
I don't like it.
How can you not like Putin?
That seems like a heart clogger. That just clogged my heart. No.
Have you tried Putin?
I tried it twice since being here. I'm like, no.
It's not your thing?
No, not
So
my
what's your
thing.
favorite meal?
I'm a Jamaican girl, so I stick to my Jamaican cuisine. Sorry.
So what's your favorite Jamaican meal?
There's not a favorite. Oh my gosh. Anything ackee and saltfish, a national dish, that's mine. My husband loves rice and peas, but I don't. I love curry chicken, not chicken curry chicken. I love crabs. Yeah, jerk chicken, jerk pork. Yes.
You have a lot of options there.
Soup.
So do you get those food here at all?
You have to cook it yourself.
You have to cook it yourself.
Yeah.
What about access to like the food to be able to cook it yourself? Can you find
You
it?
can find some things, not all. Wish we had fresh food, but yeah, we're so far up north, it's not really possible.
Not really possible. Now, Grande Prairie for me is home. But let me ask you, you have alluded to it before, where you spoke about Grande Prairie, all the opportunities and you being here and stuff like that. But if you had to name that one thing, what makes Grande Prairie home for you?
The sense of community. If you come out of your box, if you're here and you just stick to yourself, you will feel isolated by yourself. You'll be isolated and feel like you don't have anybody supporting you. But once you step out, you realize that there's a whole community of persons willing to embrace you and want to help you. That is what I would say.
So, Natasha, a big part of living in any community is access to healthcare. Now, being in Grande Prairie, what would you say the healthcare or access to healthcare is like in Grande Prairie?
Okay, so for me, I do have a family doctor. So when I want to see my family doctor, I can make an appointment, but I will be getting an appointment for within 3 weeks, like about 3 weeks. Overall, what I've seen is that it's a bit difficult to get family doctors now. Everyone is crying out for family doctors, and the healthcare, I think, needs a bit more improvement.
Okay. Is there like a lot of walk-in clinics though? Like persons can get access to?
I've seen a few walk-in clinics, so I think it's there. But there's always lines, people standing outside waiting, because they know that they can only get access. They can only take in so much for the day. So you have persons getting turned away. Yeah.
So it's an opportunity for a person probably practicing to open shop in Grande Prairie.
Exactly.
Then. Okay. And let's talk about business, because I was doing a little bit of research on you and I realized that you have started a few businesses here in Grande Prairie. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. You mentioned that one of the best things about Grande Prairie is that sense of community, right?
Yes.
Now, as an immigrant to Grande Prairie, was it easy for you to start a business, and what was that experience like?
It was easy. It's not like back home where they require an arm and a leg to just start a business. Here, it's an easy process. And you have persons, if you don't understand how to do it, they have places where you can go and they give you help.
Good. So for persons who are entrepreneurial, Grande Prairie is a place for them.
It is.
Or for persons who want to be an employee, Grande Prairie is always the place to them.
Exactly.
So do you find that persons support new businesses here a lot?
I think there should be more. It can be improving. There can be an improvement in that aspect where persons support new business, but try.
So let me ask you this though. Now, when I travel to Edmonton, there's a lot of access to transportation. You have many different options. Is it the same in Grande Prairie? What does the transportation system looks like?
So you do have a bus system and you have taxis. That's about it. And persons have their private vehicle, of course, but yeah, that's about it.
So no LRTs, no trains, passenger trains, none of that?
No.
Okay.
Wish there was more. Even a scooter that Edmonton have, I wish they had it, because it's a small city. And if you want to go from like north to east or east to west, you should be able to go on a scooter to do that.
Yeah, the scooter would probably be like a very welcome addition, to agree with you.
Yeah.
But is the bus system reliable? Is the bus system convenient?
I think it always runs on time, but it cuts off, I think, at 10 o'clock in the night. And it doesn't start early in the morning. I wish it extend, because they have a lot of persons who work late and do take the bus, so they have to rely on taxi, which can be a bit expensive.
Okay, so private cabs, buses, that's as far as public transportation goes,
Yes.
but it's fairly reliable when it's up and running.
Yeah.
But once it cut off, that's what you're pretty much saying. And so let's talk a little bit about education, because a lot of persons don't know that Grande Prairie has its own college, which is a Northwestern Polytechnic. You were also a student of that college.
Yes, I was.
Now, what's the education like in Grande Prairie? Do you think people need to leave Grande Prairie to go to other places to get the same education, or it's worthwhile studying here in the city?
I think it's worthwhile studying here. You don't have to go. The college offers a lot of courses that you can enroll in. if you can live here, and if you choose not to go to the college, you can do online. So just stay home.
Just stay
here.
home.
Yeah.
And for all the persons who are leaving Grande Prairie, because a lot of persons, obviously everyone is not gonna like everywhere, but some persons don't like living in Grande Prairie, and they're like either trash talking Grande Prairie or leaving Grande Prairie. What do you have to say to those persons?
If you don't like something, you change it. And if you decide to leave, it's okay. Grande Prairie is not for everybody. That's it. If you're used to the hustle and bustle of a city and that is just your vibe, Grande Prairie is not for you. If you want the peace and serenity of raising a family somewhere that have a community, this is where you should be. But it's okay to leave if you want.
And that's fair. And one of the things that I always say to people is you have to create your own vibe. Exactly. The grass is not always greener. The grass is greenest where you water it and stuff like that. Grande Prairie is a community that has roughly a population of 70,000 people, and it's located roughly 5 hours north of Edmonton, which is the closest big city to Grande Prairie. Now, Grande Prairie population is constantly growing, and it's growing at a rapid pace. Grande Prairie is known as the most entrepreneurial city in Alberta and one of the fastest growing communities in Alberta. Now, tell me, do you think with the population growth in Grande Prairie, infrastructures and stuff are being upgraded enough to keep with the demand of the increased population?
I don't think it is. I think they need to improve, especially housing, because they have persons coming in. And if they have somewhere to live, I think they'll be staying. If you come somewhere and there's nowhere to live, where am I going to stay? So that's why I think that most persons are also leaving.
But it also leads to opportunity, because where there's a lack of something, it's an opportunity for somebody to come in and actually do it, right? That's what I believe. And the vacancy rate is pretty low right now, but it's an opportunity for a developer to come and create an apartment building or apartment buildings, create affordable housing for the increased population and stuff like that. So definitely, I think where there are challenges, there is opportunities. Because I'm telling you, you've been a fantastic guest today, and I want to thank you for coming through today. But let's talk about 5 things so that everyone who's watching this right now, LetsChat GP can have an idea of who you are, right? I'm going to be asking you 5 quick fire questions, and I just want you to answer them with the first thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready?
Ready.
What's your favorite color?
Red.
You know, I would never...
It's blue. Sorry. You said the first thing that came to mind is red. Just flashed across my eyes. My favorite color is blue, though.
I was just about to say, I would never imagine red to be your favorite color.
It's blue.
Okay. Now, if you could go in the future 10 years or go in the past 10 years, which one would you choose?
Future 10 years. I
Why?
know what the past holds already. And I don't want to change the past because the past helped me to be where I'm at now. The future, because I would like to know what's ahead. I would like to go there.
Really? Now, if you could change anything in the world with a snap of a finger, what would that one thing be?
One thing. Can I get 2?
No, just the first thing that comes to your mind.
Peace. World peace.
World peace?
Yes.
Yeah, that kind of seems like a very cliche
Yeah, it's a cliche,
answer.
but peace.
Okay, well, what would be the second thing that you said 2 things? What would have been the second thing?
Poverty.
Poverty.
Yeah.
Okay, that's deep. Now, number 4. What's the most important thing to Natasha?
My family. My husband and my 2 kids are most important. My family is the most important thing to me. Yeah.
Okay, number 5. What do you think about LetsChat GP?
I think this is it's a good podcast, and it's going to showcase our small but big city here, showing the good, the bad, and everything that's in between.
Okay.